polls show that between 80% and 90% of Americans want to see that the Dreamers get rights to citizenship. What I'm asking you is, do you ever think about if your life were not so fortunate, and if there was an earthquake or a disaster or something like the Hondurans and people from El Salvador experienced?
How about being in a train wreck? Because I'm a survivor of that a couple of weeks ago.
That would have been terrible.
Yeah.
That would have been terrible. And I think we're all taught by our parents to put ourselves in other people's shoes, correct?
Yes.
You know, to try and see it from somebody else's eyes. So if I'm in the United States and I'm not a citizen, but I'm here because my parents brought me here, you know, and I had no choice in the matter, or I came because there was, you know, such violence in my country that I, you know, escaped that violence. And I've been here for 10, 20 years, sometimes even 30 years. And in that time, I can't put my life on hold. I can't, you know, not fall in love. I cannot not have children because I'm a person that, you know, wants all the things that anybody else would want. So have you ever put yourself in these people's position, and can you say then that you couldn't vote for a vote to give them a path towards citizenship? I mean, what's your real position?
Well, you know, let me say, I believe that the Dreamers should be allowed to stay in the country. And I am a co-sponsor of the Goodlatte bill that does that. However, the President has said quite explicitly that he will not sign a bill that does that without having border security in it and paying for the border security. In order to keep the Dreamers in the country past March 5th and preventing them from being deportable, not that they're all going to be deported instantly or, you know, even, you know, in the long-term future, this President is going to have to be presented a bill that he will sign. And, you know, that's the way it is. And, you know, people who come, you know, and say, oh, help out the Dreamers, but forget about the border security, you know, are basically saying that they're putting their opposition to border security ahead of helping out the Dreamers. I don't want to do that. And I want to see a bill that passes both houses and is signed by the President of the United States that will help out the Dreamers under the conditions that President Trump has said publicly and repeatedly. And, you know, whether you like it or not, you know, he is the President of the United States. He has the power to sign or veto legislation. And if you want to help out the Dreamers, you've got to get a bill signed.
But President Trump also said before television cameras that whatever Congress brings to him, he will sign. He said that.
Well, he said that, but
whatever Congress brings to him.
Well, I don't think Congress is going to bring to him anything that does not have border security in it. And after he said anything that Congress sends him, he will sign, he has stated that he will not sign a bill that does not contain the border security that he has called for. And, you know, it is what it is. Now, I guess the question is does anybody really want to risk a veto, you know, of legislation, which again will put the Dreamers in a deportable position, simply because Congress does put border security in there. I support border security.
And most people do.
Yes, and most people do. And that's what the President has said that he wants, and I think that most Americans, you know, want that forever. You know, what I can say is back when I was the chairman of the Judiciary Committee, you know, our committee passed out a law called the Secure Fence Act that authorized physical obstructions on the border. You know, whether it was a wall or something else, you know, high-tech stuff, and both Senator Schumer and Representative Pelosi voted in favor, you know, of that law. So, you know, they might have changed their mind, which is the prerogative, you know, of anybody based upon, you know, other circumstances, including the President. But I'm just taking the President's most recent public statements that he will not sign a bill that does not contain border security. So, you know, I guess what I can say is that, you know, people ought to realize that's the case and realize that this is going to go to the White House as a package and if it doesn't go to the White House as a package, it will be vetoed, and there are not the votes to override a veto in either house.
I can't believe that if Congress got together and worked towards it, that President Trump wouldn't sign it because he said most definitely.
Well,
wouldn't.
hey, listen, we have been working on immigration reform probably for the last 15 to 20 years on that, and Congress has not been able to get together because you've got people way on one side or people way on the other side, and then you got a bunch of people in the middle that won't vote for anything, no matter what's in there. So there's not been a majority vote in the House of Representatives on that, and that's the case today. Now, I guess what I'm saying to everybody who want to help out the Dreamers, and I do, and that's take a deep breath, and realize that there's going to have to be a compromise, and that is something that I've been saying for over a year at meetings like this. No compromise, no bill. You probably won't get the votes to pass it, and this president has said most recently that if there isn't a compromise with that, the bill gets vetoed.
Would you support Representative Ryan bringing up a bill that has support from both sides and just allowing it to, happen?
Well, the majority party leadership, whether the Republicans or the Democrats are in the majority, decide, what the schedule is. I would say that the Goodlatte bill, which I am a co-sponsor of, that does keep the Dreamers in the country, that has got overwhelming support, amongst the Republican members of the House of Representatives. But what I can say is that I don't think that shutting down the government, over the Dreamers, helped the Dreamers out at all. And that happened last month.
Still, Speaker Ryan could allow conflicting or opposite votes to come up and see which one wins the most.
That's a decision that he will have to make by himself. And I don't think he is going to make any decision until we see what, if anything, the Senate passes. And they're starting their debate this week. But in the Senate, you need to have 60 votes. And there are 51 Republican senators, so that means, assuming all the Republican senators vote for something, you're going to have at least 9 Democratic votes. Now, I don't think all the Republican senators are going to vote for something that comes up regardless of what it is. I can't predict who will be the no votes, but it depends upon what they're being asked to vote on.